People be outside thinking that desirability politics are only actually about who we want to date, who we want to screw, and whatever else we might want to do to somebody. Um, that's not true. Let's talk a little bit about what desirability politics really are right after this intro. And welcome back to another episode of The Daily Donna with me, your host, Dr. Donna Oriowo, sex and relationship therapist in Washington, D.C. metro area, author of Drink Water and Mind Your Business, a Black woman's guide to unlearning the BS and healing self-esteem. And if it has not been clear, desirability politics is part of the thing that we might need to go ahead and unlearn if we want to see some changes in our life. So let's talk about what desirability politics actually are. I think of desirability as dehumanization, where one is stripped for parts to become a commodity toward the gaze of others. It is a dehumanizing act that stops allowing you your full humanity, as people are sort of picking apart pieces of you in order to determine your value. And where I'm talking about value, desirability politics as a whole tends to think of it as worth relative to. And then there's these brackets, right? Worth relative to what? Sometimes it's worth relative to the person who's talking, worth relative to others, worth relative to someone's wallet, worth relative to whatever, fill in the blank thing here. It's worth relative to. So where do we even get desirability politics from? The thing is that the people in positions of power are the ones that get to determine what is actually considered desirable in any given time. So when on mainstream, for example, when butts were a thing and people were loving it, you saw a lot of people getting the Brazilian butt lift, not just Black women, but also white women, right? When lips became a thing, then it was lip fillers and all of these things. When the dominant culture decides that something is desirable, people tend to go and seek that thing out so that they can also have proximity to power relative to what those pieces and things are. The problem is that it's often only used to further enrich themselves. So they tell you what's wrong with you, they tell you the thing that is desirable, and then we go seek out that thing because not only do we want to feel like we are in vogue, but also because to not be considered desirable is also to lose access to the portions of humanity that they allow you when you have something that is desired. Desirability politics goes beyond who we want to date. It's also about who is loved, who is believed, who we see as credible, who we will uplift, who we will offer a pedestal to, who we will offer protection to. That is desirability. We desire to protect you. We think that you are desirable. And so our desire is to use ourselves, our bodies, our mouths, our resources as a protection for this thing that we believe is supposed to exist. The opposite is also true. We don't desire you. We don't think that you should be loved. We don't believe that you're to be believed. You are not credible. You're not perfect. You are ugly. You are devilish. You are triggered. You are angry. You are jealous. You are un-American. These are some of the words that they've already used against some of you. You probably have heard someone say that someone is angry. I don't know if you ever heard of the angry Black woman trope. It's a way to say that Black women's anger is not justified because it is undesirable in the system. No one cares that you're angry. How dare you be angry about your oppression? You should be happy that we let you be here. The idea that the Black Panthers wanted to push back against oppression was un-American. They were labeled a terrorist group, right? And the crux there is that Black people in America are undesired. And so we're constantly dealing with the oppression that comes from these other people who believe that because we're not desired, we also have no worth. that we have no worth or value relative to them, except whatever worth that they can extract from us. It's the same way that like the continent of Africa is rather throwawayable, except for the minerals, the gold, the diamonds, and whatever other items can be extracted from the land. And the people are of no big what to do. They're more of an obstacle to get to the thing that a person wants, to the thing that a person finds to be actually desirable, which is also why it's easy to enslave a people, to kill a people, to do a genocide to a people if they are in the way of the thing that is considered desirable. And thus the people's value is juxtaposed against that other thing which they have deemed as being desirable. This is why we say that desirability politics is actually more about one's access to humanity than it is about whether or not somebody wants to date you or screw you. In the conversation about Dr. Raquel Martin and Cheyenne Bryant, the halo and horn effect came back out. And you'll notice that the words that we would use to describe someone as halo, perfect, natural order, God ordained, beautiful, desirable, holy filled, right, are the opposite words that we would use for someone who is given the horn effect, but also these are the same words that denote who is desirable, halo, and who is undesirable, horn. Because colorism, texturism, featureism are also features of desirability. It also features in how we even frame this idea in because it's basically a colonization of the people, continued colonization, just simply in a different way, to not in a way of stolen land per se, but stolen real estate in your mind, so that you become what they are. You are the police in the police state, where you police others about whether or not they're being too uppity for their station, whether or not you believe them to be credible witnesses, despite the fact that they've given you everything that they've got to give, whether or not you will see them as a full person. Racism matters, right? I think that's one of those things that most people tend to agree on. Racism is kind of embedded into the everything of it all, except that when someone wants to talk about colorism, now we have a problem. And I think that is a problem, because how do you do a racism? You do a racism based off what somebody looks like. That means that you're looking at their skin tone. It means that you're looking at their hair texture, their eye color. It means that you're looking at their features to see how wide that nose is, how thick those lips are, those soup coolers, right? You're looking at them as a whole, but you're breaking them down into these parts so that you can determine their desirability based off all of these parts. And that desirability is based off the white supremacist beauty standard. That is the thing that marks somebody as desirable, close to white, or not desirable, close to black or black. That's also how we tend to judge who we believe, who we like, who's credible, what our preferences are. And let me just be the first to tell you, if no one has told you before, you can't have preferences in a racist state. If you have not examined what you prefer, then what you prefer is very likely already been taught to you by the powers that be, based off who they said was actually human and who's not, who is granted access to humanity and who is dehumanized. And the thing is, the whole point is about getting at your wallet. That's their goal. When they get to a space of deciding what is of value, they also will tell you what is not of value. And so when certain body parts come in vogue, like butts or lips, things that Black people may have, this is the extraction, right? You are nothing but the continent, and who you are and what you are is of no good, big what to do, because they're just extracting the thing. If they say that these things are valuable now, then you see that white people flock to those things. You get your Brazilian butt lifts, you have your lip fillers, you have all this other stuff. Yes, Black people also go into it too, but the whole point is about making sure that you are desired in the current structures. Women wanting to be desirable sexually, found attractive by men, offers certain levels of protection. Black people being seen as the right type of Black people and thus desirable by white people offers a certain level of protection. But the problem is that it means that none of us are dismantling the systems as much as we're dismantling each other. We do it by saying things like, act your wage, right? Like your money is the thing that gets to determine whether or not you have value, whether or not you get to speak up. Or we say things like, oh, you act on light skin. This is to say that now the value is placed either on your wallet or on your skin tone, that these things are commoditized to the point where one can be able to say that, well, this person is worth more and this person is worthless. When what I think we intend to, what we need to really understand is that a person isn't worth more because we're all flesh, blood, bone. We all are born, live, die, but a person is not worthless. They have less. They don't have access to maybe certain social capitals or certain financial capitals, but we are judging people based off the desirability politics that have been embedded into us since we were yay high to a fly. We have work to do, friend. This is part of the crux of the conversation that I was seeing with regard to Dr. Raquel Martin and Cheyenne Bryant. It's part of the kind of comments that I'd received on the back end, that because I am having a conversation about the colorism I'm seeing, that I'm talking about the halo and the horn effect, that it must mean that I'm jealous that I'm not light skinned because it is assumed that I want to be light skinned, and that the only reason that I would talk about it is because I desire it. And I'm just like, you don't even know me well enough to be able to state what my desires are, which makes it funny. But also telling someone, like wanting people to stay within the scope of their practice and their education while being a yoga instructor, calling a therapist triggered, is ironic as hell. I digress. The point is this: the desirability politics are in the room, friend. They are outside. The desirability politics are embedded into almost every station of every conversation that we're consistently having. Even the idea of making America return to a greatness it never had is a conversation about desirability politics. And I would argue the premier desirability conversation, the lack of desire that white people have to see Black people thrive, the lack of desire that white people have to see anyone who isn't them, the lack of desire that rich elites have to see this country actually have forward momentum that could not be attributed to them. Desirability politics have always been part of the conversation. Whether or not we name it, whether or not we see it, we live it. It's in who we say is credible and who we say is not. It's about who we say is a hater, who we say is triggered, who we say is jealous, angry, and un-American versus who we say is pure and smart and talented and special and the only person that we could ever want to see and who we think should have a pedestal. Desirability politics have already been present, friend. The question is, now that you know, are you going to stop being a desirability colonizer, constantly moving people back to their station because you feel like they got too uppity? And when I say stop doing it to everybody, I also mean stop doing it to you. Do you believe that you have limits based off the pieces of you that someone said is desirable? Because, friend, that's related back to self-esteem, how we understand ourselves, self-concept, and how we feel about what we know about ourselves, self-esteem. And that screams damaged self-esteem. It screams fragile self-esteem. I'm just saying there might be a little bit more work here to do, because what we're not going to do, chapter 4 of my book, what we're not going to do is pretend that desirability politics don't play a role in how we show up for whom we show up, when we show up, and how we show up. But that's all I have for you today, friend. I am done with this conversation for now. I will be back when tomorrow, because I am Dr. Donna. This is the Daily Donna, where we have our conversations with a therapeutic edge, and we do it every day. All right. I will see you when tomorrow. Bye.